Sashi Puki Jushin Metok Tram Rera Bengshi Dinge Genpadi Songe Shindu Mikte Wargi Drokun Namdak Shingla Duparsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami Sange Chudang Soki Choknam La Jangchu Bardu Daki Kabsuchi Daki Chinyan Gimpe Sunamki Drola Penshir Sange Duparsho Sange Shudang Soki Choknam La Jangchu Bardu Daki Kapsuchi Daki Chinyam Gimpe Sunanki Dola Penshir Sange Duparsho Sange Shudang Soki Choknam La Jangchu Bardu Daki Kapsuchi Daki Chinyam Gimpe Sunamki Drola Penshir Sange Duparsho.
Leah, listen close. Jangchu Bardu Dakni Kapsuchi. Okay? Daki Chunyen Gipe Tsunamki. Okay? There's no N in this one. And there's an N in this one. All right?
Okay, thank you.
No one is going to be annoying enough to correct your mandala except me, so I hope you enjoy it. Okay. Okay, so we will do our quiz, which I already did myself. It's not too bad if you already know middle way. If you don't know middle way, then it might be hard. Okay. Any questions before we do the quiz? Nope. All right. Here we go. Disfruta. Hay dos páginas. ¿Páginas? Is everyone finished? Finished. ¿No, Marta? ¿Necesitas más tiempo? Ok, gracias.
Listo por mí.
Okay. All right. Okay, any questions about last class?
¿Por qué estamos hablando de las cosas externas?
Why are they talking about external objects? Because your whole world is made of them? Because in the mind-only school, they have a very specific view about external objects. So Geshe Michael, in his unsurpassed wisdom, is detailing what each school means by external objects, because it's in a point of contention between the schools. Because some people believe when mind only says there's no external objects, they mean things are mind only, like there's nothing outside but your mind. But that's not what they believe. So he explains it. Then he explains what the other schools mean by external objects in comparison. Buen pregunta. Okay. All right, this class is kind of long. I'm kind of tired, so just gonna do it. Buckle up. Here we go. Answer key. Question 1. Class 9. Now that we've examined how the mind-only school thinks that... Wait, where's Kelly McGee?
She said that she was going to be late on Mondays in general.
Who am I going to pick on? This is unacceptable. Okay, Leah, you're the backup. Now that we've examined how the mind-only school thinks that Lord Buddha taught emptiness, we turn to what the independent group in the middle way thinks, which hinges on an idea of multiple levels of selflessness. Name this concept in general and list its 3 parts. There's a lot of Tibetan in this class. Maybe I'll teach you all some Tibetan. I know you don't want to, but I'll teach you anyway. Okay. They stress the idea of 3 degrees of selflessness: the subtle lack of a self to persons, the subtle lack of a self to things, and the subtle lack of self to things This last being, oh, excuse me, the gross lack of self to things, yeah, and the subtle lack of self to things. This last being real emptiness. Okay? I don't know how much Tibetan I can teach you, but tak means self, right? Tak me means selfless. Me means self. Tarak means subtle gross, which just means what the degree is. And sum means 3. So that's what we're talking about. Tak me tarak sum. Okay? And if you notice, they don't even talk about the gross lack of a self to persons, because they're like, why would we talk about that? Obviously, people don't exist like that. Okay. Okay. 2. Name the even grosser idea of the self of a person which relates to this independent group concept. Okay. This is a self or person which is an unchanging, independent whole. This can be described as what is denied when we speak of a gross lack of a self. Okay, this is what I was just saying. So this would be like a soul or something. How do you say la alma in español? Yeah, like there's some little thing in you. When you die, it goes, it doesn't change. No one can touch it. Yada, yada, yada. Okay? Takchik rangwachen. Itak. It's the kind of self which has a self-powered rangwang, and I think takchik in this case means yeah, solitary. It's single. Yeah. Oh no, this is the unchanging, excuse me. This is the tak and takpa. Yeah. Tak chik rangwachen. It is unchanging and independent.
That's a long word. Is that like a sort of a combined word, like German words
This
combined?
is a phrase. This is not a word.
Wrong one, Chen?
This is a phrase, yeah.
Wrong one, Chen is a phrase. Okay.
This whole thing is a phrase. Chen, Rangwa Chen is a word. Yes. Chen is put at the end of the words, like Sem Chen. What does Sem Chen mean? Leah? Do you remember? You muted yourself, Leah.
I don't remember.
Sem Chen means a sentient being, but it literally means those that have a mind. Sem Chen. We did it this summer. I don't know if you were there in class. Anyway, Rangwang Chen means they have an independent. Rang just means self, and Wang we have in Shen Wang, it means powered. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. But see, this gi would mean it's a phrase. Why does this gi mean it's a phrase, Leah?
Because it shows what kind of article of speech it is.
It's just possessive. It's the possessive. Right? Leah's house, which means a phrase, right? Yeah.
Right.
That's all. Okay, good. 3, name the kinds of practitioners on the first track. State the vehicle or way they belong to, and name the type of self that they come to realize does not exist. Okay, so those of the listener track who belong to the lower vehicle or way come to see that there exists no self-nature of a person where the person is self-standing, is a self-standing substantial thing. This, according to the independent group, describes the non-existent object whose emptiness is the subtle lack of a self-nature to a person, which is the first of the 3 degrees of a selflessness mentioned above. So without getting into all of it, basically, there's 3 vehicles or yanas. Well, there's 2 yanas, but the first yana could be split into 2 parts. Hinayana can be listener or self-made Buddha, and Mahayana is a bodhisattva vehicle. And so this is saying listeners are on the lowest of those 3 degrees discussed here, a subtle lack of a self to persons. And so according to lower middle way, when their understanding of emptiness is that there exists no self-nature or person where the person is self-standing and substantial thing. Yeah. Okay. So they see the first of the 3 degrees is what the lower middle way says, not higher middle way. That's all it says. The listener track matches with the lowest of those 3 degrees. That's all that is saying. Tekmen means lower vehicle. Hinayana. Nentu means those that listen or those that hear or something. And Rankya, yeah, see, this is missing a word. This needs correcting. Rankya tupe, tse yu tu trupa. Yeah. That which is self-standing and substantial. Okay. Okay, and now we're going to go through all 3 of them, right? Okay, so the second level. Name the kinds of practitioners on the second track, state the vehicle or way they belong to, and name the type of self they come to realize does not exist. Without looking at the answer, what has to be the answer? Anybody? I'll show you. What has to be the answer? Self-made Buddhas are those beings, but what emptiness do they have to see?
The gross lack of a self to things.
Boom. Okay. I just want you to get the idea. And Leah got it. Okay. For those who didn't get it here, I'll explain right now. Those of the Self-Made Buddha track, which is the next one up from listener, Rangel in Tibetan. Oh, there it is right there. Who also belong to the lower vehicle or way, come to see that there exists no self-nature of things wherein a valid perception of a physical object and the physical object which the perception holds are empty of any separate substance. Woo! Meaning they do not come from the same karmic seed. Okay? That's what we did in Mind Only class for the last 8 classes, but only mentioned a couple times. This is the second degree of selflessness, the gross lack of a self to things. This kind of being empty, by the way, is not real emptiness according to the independence. And the self-made Buddhas, of course, means those who can reach a lower nirvana in this life without depending on a spiritual guide, but only because they have had many thousands of teachers in their past life. Okay, so yeah, it's simple. Self-made Buddha track is one of the vehicles. It refers to beings on the who seek nirvana, who haven't had a direct teacher in this life. Okay, and their understanding, according to lower middle way, of emptiness is that is the gross lack of a self nature to things. And that means that the physical object and the perception of it come from the same substance. I was going to explain something. Okay, there's something more there. Anyway, the independent school says this is not real emptiness. Yeah. Okay. That's it. That's that. Here's the Tibetan. You don't want to know. And Leah left. Where'd you go? Suktan suksin ki sema te shengi tongpa. Ki tongpa. Yeah. Anyway, it just means the form and the thing that holds the form. Which perceives that substance. This is interesting. This shen means other. Is empty of any other substance. I don't know exactly how to translate that, but that's what it says literally. Okay. Number 5. Name the kinds of practitioners on the third track. State the vehicle or way they belong to and name the type of self that they come to realize does not exist. All right, sorry. Those of the Bodhisattva track who belong to the higher vehicle or way come to see real emptiness or the fact that every existing object is empty of any true existence. This is the third degree of selflessness, the subtle lack of a self to things. Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. So when we say a lack of a self and a lack of things, what are those things that we're talking about? Same in the Wheel of Life. Are we talking about Marta's dog?
The things we want and the things that we don't want.
What does it mean here, Ria? It's the same in the Wheel of Life when you say, what do they say? Yeah, they say a person and things, right? Nah. It means your parts. It means the things that make up you. It doesn't mean like random things in the world. It actually means your parts. Same in the Wheel of Life. That's the things you hold as having. You have a wrong view to those things that break down, right? The view of things that are falling apart. That's but it specifically it refers to think of yourself and other things that make up yourself, the parts of you in the wrong way. Okay. You and yours. Anyway, okay, 6. In the independent group of the middle way school, what does it mean to say that a thing truly exists truly? All right, here it is, Aldo, the long awaited. In this school, an object exists truly when it exists from its own side through some unique identity of its own, rather than simply being established as existing by having appeared. There's the key word, Aldo, appeared to an unaffected state of mind. Objects like this don't exist, and this is the ultimate meaning of emptiness. In the lower branch of the middle way, which is called Sva Tantrika and not Sao Trantika, which is the sutras. And there's Tibetan. You do not want me to read that. You don't care that much. Okay. So what is this in the independent school? Give me one word that this is in the independent school. I would offer money, but Aldo took all of my money, which I paid already, Aldo. No, Aldo donated, of course, to make me look even worse.
This sounds like the gaksha, but is that in the independent?
Yay! It is. It's the gakcha. Oh my god, I'm so happy I didn't offer money. If you want money, call Aldo. I'll give you his number. Okay, yeah, exactly. It's the gakcha. This is the thing that doesn't exist in the independent branch of the middle way school. Why is it called the independent branch, by the way? Maybe you care, maybe you don't. I'm going to explain to you anyway. Martha's dog cares, so I'll explain it to la perra, el perro, I don't know. Next life, the perrita can be a Nadia Mika scholar. Okay, it's called independent branch because they believe that if you say, hey, things have no self-existent nature of their own, someone is supposed to understand what that means on its own. Meaning they think certain words have their own power to them, when of course they don't. If they did, I wouldn't need to teach this class, and I would be on the beach in San Pancho instead. Because you could just listen to a class once and you would understand Geshe Michael every time, right? You would hear the pen once and you'd understand it. That's why it's called independent group. It's an old argument with Baba Viveka, Master Baba Viveka, from like 600 AD or something, okay? All right. Okay, so let's break this down a little more because you guys are looking at me weirder than usual. So in this school, an object exists truly, okay? That means self-existently or from their own side, okay? I was looking for it in Tibetan. I don't see where they say truly. What's that shakpa? That shakpa. Oh, that's to establish. I don't see it in the Tibetan. Okay. And in this school, an object exists truly when it exists from its own side through some unique identity of its own. Okay? Rather than simply being established. Okay, that's the shakpa. Established as existing. That's the drupa, I believe. As existing by having appeared, right? So it appears to a mind that is unaffected. We say unaffected meaning not drunk, not on acid, not really jealous, not really mad, not with blurry vision or something. Unaffected, okay? But since objects like that don't exist, right? If nothing is truly that way, then there's no object like that. And the lack of an object like that is emptiness in the independent group of the middle way. Karina's nodding her head. That's good. I got one. Okay. I'm gonna keep going. Oh, Kelly McGee's here? Okay, don't worry, Kelly. I'll look for a debate to bother you with soon. No, I'm just saying hi. Hi, Kelly. Glad you made it. Okay. Question 7. The word substantial as opposed to constructed in the great books of Buddhism has 5 distinct meanings. Name and describe each one briefly. A. Oh my God. So this is a big deal. You probably have questions. Okay, there's only 9. Okay, we're fine. Okay, substantial here. This is from one of the Chankya Rinpoche's books. I think it's called the Great Great Book on Comparing the Schools. But there's an argument about it in the mixed nuts right now. Anyway, substantial in the sense of substantial in the sense of actually existing. Any actually existing object as opposed to the non-existent self-natures that the 2 tendencies of holding to a self-nature think exist. Okay, so substantial in the sense of actually existing, right? It actually exists. And any actually existing object as opposed to the non-existent self-natures that the 2 tendencies to hold to a self-nature think exist. And those 2 tendencies, the tendency to hold to things and the tendency to hold to persons, I believe. Okay, B. Substantial in the sense of doing something, functional things as opposed to general unchanging identities of things. So an actual car as opposed to general unchanging identities of things, the idea car, right? This is Chiche Doc. So substantial meaning something that actually is a car as opposed to something that is the idea car in your mind that you can't drive in, okay? Let's see, I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't go over this in class. I think he goes over in the next class on the audio, but I've heard it before. Anyway, C, substantial in the sense of being stable and unchanging. Unproduced empty space as opposed to changing things. Okay. Yes. That's all. It just means unchanging thing. All right. D, substantial in the sense of being self-standing. Okay, this is more to what we're discussing. The physical things that a state of mind perceives and the state of mind that perceives them as opposed to concepts or constructs. This ultimately refers to things that can come into our mind without first having to think of their parts and synthesizing them. Say colors like red or our awareness of red as opposed to things that can only come into our mind if we first think of their parts and synthesize them. Say something like the idea of an American person, which can come into our mind if we first think of heads, arms, and legs, etc. So this is substantial in the sense of physical things that a state of mind perceives and the state of mind that perceives them as opposed to concepts or constructs. So not just ideas in your head. And it refers ultimately to, basically when you look at a thing, this is the same thing that neuroscientists say, right? Anyone who's paying attention says this. When you look at something like your computer, your eye looks around to identify it, and then it puts those parts together as indicators. And those indicators are what you call your computer. If you've heard of René Descartes or Isaac Newton, they also said the same thing. And I guess that was 16th century Europe. So what did they say? They said there is no physical. There's no physical outside of the physical that you apprehend from the indications that your mind puts together as a physical object. Okay? So any scientist that tells you there's a physical doesn't know the history of science, because Descartes dismissed the idea of a physical like 500 years ago. And there is no physical. Is there a functional body? Yes. Do you have a heart? Yes. Do you have a liver? Yes. Do you have a heart, liver, spleen? How do you say? Corazon, hígado, vaso. Do you have any of those things outside of the thing that you apprehend with your senses as being that by putting together indicators? No, you don't. And that's what this is saying. Physical things that a state of mind perceives and a state of mind that perceives them. Okay? Okay. E, substantial in the sense of being the kind of self-standing we deny when we speak of no self-standing self. A person who is independent of the five heaps or parts of the person and who directs or controls them. Yeah, this is like the soul thing. We're going to go over this more in our next class, because we're going to do all 6 views of emptiness. Okay? But this basically means the little voice in your head isn't running your life. Okay? If you think the little voice in your head is running your life, you have a few problems. First of all, you think, oh, whatever the little voice tells me I should do. Okay? Don't do whatever the little voice tells you to do. Okay? It's not always good. And then B, you have the opposite problem. You think that if the little voice just tells you what to do, you can do it. Okay? And that's a great thing to believe until you get paralyzed. Right? Or anything. I mean, try to play capoeira. Can you do all those things by telling yourself you can do them? No. Because that's not how life works. Sorry. Okay. And the fact that you believe that you suffer every day, it's very frustrating. Okay. And then the substantial, in Tibetan substantial, zeyu. Ze just means stuff, and yu means have it. And tak yu. Where do you hear this word tak?
Takpa, unchanging.
It's a different talk. Good try though. More germane to this class. That's a different talk. Aldo. Yungdrup, Shenwang, and
Constructs.
Kuntak. Yeah. Constructs. See, constructed. Same word. Tak. Like labeled. Merely labeled. Okay. Oh boy. Geshe Michael, we love you. Okay, this is Geshe Michael. So that was basically the class, okay? Thankfully for Wordy, class is short tonight because Wordy's tired. Okay, question 8 is a addendum. Not exactly our subject, but Holy Geshe Michael wants to clear up some Dharma rumors. So here we go. It's easy to confuse the idea of person of 3 scopes in the teachings on the steps of the path to enlightenment, Lam Rim, and I know most of you are Lam Rimpas. Aldo's hardcore Lam Rimpa. Bertha's hardcore Lam Rimpa. Martha's been to some Lam Rims. Right, Martha? And Kelly McGee hasn't been to any Lam Rim, but she wants to go.
Wasn't the one this summer part of the Lamrim?
Yeah, did you go?
Yeah.
Oh, you did it?
Mhm.
Online?
Mhm.
Oh, good. Okay, Kelly McGee's been the one I didn't go to. But anyway, so we're most, maybe all of us have been to a Lamrim. Okay, so anyway, in the Lamrim, they talk about people of the three scopes. People confuse it with the three tracks, which is what we're going to explain right now. And I used to confuse it with the three tracks until Nick Lashaw pointed it out to me in 2014. Okay. And I didn't even notice that I was confusing it. Okay, here we go. Persons of the three scopes. In the teachings on the steps to the path to enlightenment refers to a person's spiritual capacity or motivation and includes, here we go. One, this is the lesser scope. People who want to avoid the three lower realms only for their own sakes. Okay. Two, people who want, this is middling or medium scope. People who want to avoid all three realms of the circle of suffering life and reach their own nirvana only. Okay. And three, people who want to avoid the three lower realms and avoid all three. This should say all three, either all six realms or all three higher realms. Either way, there's a word missing. And reach total enlightenment. Okay, so they can help all beings reach this same enlightenment. People on the three tracks refers to a person's ability to understand emptiness. Okay, so that's the three scopes I just did. Did you get it? The lesser scope, you just don't want to go to hell, become a dog, unless you're Martha's dog, or be a hungry ghost. Okay? Middling scope, you don't want to be born in any of the realms, you just want to reach nirvana. Highest scope, you want to be a bodhisattva who gets out of the wheel and teaches everyone else how. Got it? Okay. Bertha has it. She's heard this a million times. Okay. People on the three tracks refers to a person's ability to understand emptiness and includes, here we go, those on the listener track. This is what we just did from the independent school's perspective. Who hope to reach nirvana, the nirvana of this track, and who, according to independence, can see only up to the subtle lack of self-nature to the person. Two, those of the self-made Buddha track who hope to reach the nirvana of this track and who can see only up to the gross lack of a self-nature to things. And three, those of the Bodhisattva or Mahayana track who hope to reach the total enlightenment for the sake of all beings and who can see real emptiness. Jason Kappa notes in the great book on the steps to enlightenment, Lamrim Chimo, those who, on the first two tracks are both people of the those on the first two tracks are both people of the second or medium scope. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got it. The people on the first two tracks are people of the second scope, meaning everyone who's trying to do these two things are at least doing this thing, trying to reach nirvana. Got it? Marta, ¿entiendes? Okay, she's giving me a funny look. Okay, good. We did that part. Yay. This is the last question. And you got to hang out and Monday night more. Whatever you're doing. Okay, question 9. It's also easy to confuse the 3 tracks with the 3 different ways mentioned in scripture, especially since the Tibetan for both is the same. Yeah, it is. State the difference. Okay, I think the Sanskrit's the same too. It just says yana. Yana literally means vehicle, but it means more like vehicular capacity, meaning how much load can you take, right? Like I think on like pickup trucks, they'll say like they'll give you the load. I mean, definitely with semi trucks or whatever tractor trailers, they'll tell you the load because otherwise you get an accident. Okay, here we go. The 3 tracks refers to listener, self-made Buddha, and Bodhisattva, or Mahayana is Bodhisattva. Tracks mentioned above. The other three ways are the lower way, the higher way, and the diamond way, also called the way of the secret word, which is what? Sangha. Although technically the diamond way is just a part of the higher way, which is more correctly divided into the perfection part of the higher way and the diamond part of the higher way. Meaning, this is really artificial. There is no real diamond way as opposed to higher way. The diamond way is actually just part of the higher way, which is Mahayana. Geshe-la's translating Maha as higher, or Chen in Tibetan, which means big. That's it. You don't want all this Tibetan, so I'm not going to do it. Okay, questions?
This class just seems so technical.
As opposed to the whole course? No, the class is simple. Here, I'll break it down. The last 2 questions are just addendums for the ways, okay? The first question is just saying, here are the 3 levels of emptiness in the independent school, okay? Okay, and then the next 3 questions just refer to that. Question 2 is the first lowest one. Question 3 is this middle one. Oh, excuse me. Question 3 is the lowest one. Question 4 is the middle one. And question 5 is the highest one. The 3 degrees, okay? Question 2 is the one that they didn't even include because it's too gross. Okay?
They didn't even include it because they think it's obvious.
Yes, exactly. Which is funny to use the word obvious because that's what they mean, gross. It means obvious, too obvious. Okay, so that's the first 5 questions. Simple. And then the meat of the whole class is basically question 6. This is the one that is technical. And question 7 is highly technical. So 6 and 7 are technical, and you have to memorize those. But the first 5 and the last 2 aren't that hard. Okay?
It seems like a lot of the class is like it's mind only or middle way, and now we're getting into, you know, these finer gradations.
Yeah, this is the class on the lower way. It's the one class on the lower, the lower part of the middle way. Yeah. That is truly, this is made to be fine gradations.
Or is it trying to flex our muscles? I mean, because we're taught that to really understand mind only can help us so much in catching ourselves when we're mind only and when we're talking to other people. But all of these, subtle distinctions of these gradations, is it just all I mean, helping us to see emptiness directly, helping us to catch ourselves in finer and finer sort of gradations.
This is the next step up before you get to middle way, higher middle way, prasangika. So mind only says there's dependent things have their own nature, and then you put constructs on them. Lower middle way says no, that's not true. What happens is it appears to an unaffected state of mind, meaning it appears and then you see it. And that's what we call 50-50. So it's the next step up from thinking there's things out there that have their own nature and some things that don't. It's supposed to be in between. And then next you go to, nah, you give the nature to everything. Got it? This is the 50-50 view. 50% out there, 50% coming from you.
I thought mind only was kind of 50-50.
No, mind only is not 50-50. Mind only believes that there are dependent things, shenwangs. Mind only also believes that the same seed makes what you perceive, and that which is being, that which is perceiving it, but that's not 50-50. That's the same substance, same stuff.
Okay, so lower middle way is the 50-50 view.
Yes. Yep. Things are established as existing by having appeared to an unaffected state of mind.
It gets kind of short shrifted just being in one class.
Yes. Course two is from the lower middle way view if you want more. Okay.
Okay.
Ooh. All right. There will be no other questions. Unless there's really another question. Is there? Okay. Which means we're gonna do the mandala, okay? Here we go. Mandala, where are you? Okay. I'm gonna do it. You guys listen. Mandala. Here we go. Sashi puki jokshin mektok dram. Rirab lingshin ninde genpadi. Sangye shindu mikte ulwargi. Jokun namdak shingla chupar shok. Iram guru ragamarlakam niryatayam. Gewadi gewoku. Sunam yashe tok tokshin. Sunam yashe le jungwe. Tampa kuni to parsho. Okay.
Thank you, Ward.
Who said that?
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is Lucia.
Oh, yes. Okay. Only one more class left, and then I'm going to sleep for like a month. Okay?
Thank you so much, Ward.
Gracias, Aldo.
Yes.
Gracias, Aldo. Gracias, Ward.
Gracias, Aldo.
De nada.
Ours are
Okay, so see everybody on Wednesday. Hasta miércoles. Please do your homework, study for the quiz, and then we'll be done. Okay?
Adiós, gracias.
Por nada, gracias.